So today we are going to discuss about sexual reproduction, and as this is a botany class, especially we will be discussing about the sexual reproduction in plants. To understand the sexual reproduction in plants, we need to understand first what is reproduction. Now let us see what is reproduction. Now you know very well that reproduction is a condition which is necessary for all living organisms to continue their species. What is a species? A species is that, for example, let's take a human being. Human being is a species which you know is Homo sapiens. Similarly, a rose plant is a species. Now, Rosa indica. China rose is a species, Hibiscus china sinensis. Brinjal plant is a species which is Solanum melongana. Like that, every plant and animal is a species. To maintain itself, to continue the species, it needs what is known as reproduction, and this characteristic is a thing which is present in every living organism, whether it is bacteria, virus, animals, plants, or everywhere you find this particular characteristics, that they are able to reproduce themselves, and because of this ability to reproduce themselves, they create and maintain their species. Now you know that the life has originated millions of years ago, and the life is continuing till today, and it is because of what is called reproduction, which is a characteristic of living organisms. Now we can classify reproduction into 2 or 3 main categories. So why did I say 2 or 3 main categories? There is a reason behind this. The reason is, normally reproduction is considered to be asexual or sexual. What is asexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction is a type of reproduction where sex is not involved. Now, sex is not involved means there are no male and female gametes. That is, the sperms and eggs are not there. That is asexual reproduction. Now, it usually involves a single organism and does not involve 2 organisms. Now, on the other hand, what is sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction is one in which there are 2 organisms, that is male organism and female organism, mostly in animals, male and female, and in plants also. There are some plants where there are male plants and female plants, but mostly plants have both the sex organs on the same body of the plant, that is, they are bisexual. Bisexual plants are there, or the plant may bear male flowers and female flowers on the same plant. The example of plant bearing male flowers and female flowers is cucumber, kakudi. We have both male plants and female flowers, and male flowers and female flowers on the same plant. Whereas in papaya, we get male plant and female plant. So there is a question of male and female plant. There is a question of same male plant, same plant bearing both male and female organs, or it is most of the cases in angiosperms we find flowers are present which have both male and female organs. So what is summing up? In case of sexual reproduction, we need gametes, that is male gamete and female gamete. In case of animals, it is sperm and egg. In case of plants, it is male gamete and female gamete, that is egg. Now, this is the condition that is needed for sexual reproduction. The male and female gamete, they fuse to form the zygote, and the zygote divides and gives rise to again the plant or animal. Now, the male and female gametes are formed in male and female organs. Now, the organs may be located on the same plant, same flower, or in different plants. When they are different on different plants, it is unisexual plants, and when they are on the same plant, they may be located different parts of the same plant, male flowers and female flowers, or flowers which contain male and female organs. Now, but in asexual reproduction, there is no fusion of gametes. The gametes are not formed at all, and there is no fusion. Now, one more important thing we want to discuss here, and that is mostly lower organisms have asexual reproduction, though it is seen in all organisms, but mostly lower organisms. Now, organisms are either haploid or diploid. It is very important to understand the concept of sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction through this, and that is the in haploid and diploid organisms. Now, haploid organism is one in which there is a single set of chromosomes. Algae, fungi, bryophyta, all these are haploid, mostly haploid organisms which have n number of chromosomes or haploid number of chromosomes, whereas in diploid organisms there are 2n number of chromosomes, as we have 2n number of chromosomes, that is 23 pairs. Now, all higher plants and animals have diploid number of chromosomes, that is 2n number of chromosomes. Now, when diploid organisms form gametes, that is male and female gametes, we form haploid gametes. Haploid gamete is sperm and egg or male and female gametes. Now, these gametes are formed in the sex organs by a division which is called meiosis or reduction division. For example, in our body, we have diploid number of chromosomes. The chromosome number is 46, that is 23 pairs. Now, when we produce gametes, that is sperm and egg in male and female body differently, and the male gametes have 23 pairs, 23 chromosomes, and female gametes have 23 chromosomes. When they fuse, we get again 46 chromosomes like we have, and this fusion gives rise to 46 chromosome is diploid number, that is from the zygote. The zygote again gives rise to new plant which is diploid, a new human being which is diploid. Now, coming to a plant example, let us take the example of pea plant. Pea plant is Pisum sativum. Pisum sativum also has to n number of chromosomes. The pairs of chromosomes are 10 pairs. So when Poisson sativum forms gametes, male and female gametes, the male gametes contain 10 chromosomes and the female gametes contains 10 chromosomes. When they fuse, they form again 10 pairs of chromosomes, that is 20 chromosomes. So the chromosome number is 20, but it is diploid, so 2n is 20 and n is 10. So sexual reproduction needs the formation of gametes where the gamete number is reduced to half of the original number in case of diploid organisms. In case of haploid organisms, also there is sexual reproduction. If it is there the gamete formation doesn't require meiosis, it happens with mitosis. The gametes contain haploid number of chromosomes. The gametes fuse, form zygote, and the zygote divides meiotically to form haploid structures, and these haploid structures give rise to haploid plants. I have already told you that in lower plants you find asexual reproduction mostly. Now algae, fungi, Bryophyta, they mostly have asexual reproduction, but they also have sexual reproduction, but the common method of reproduction is asexual reproduction. But in higher plants and higher animals, we have sexual reproduction. Let's once again review what is sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is the condition where the organism has to form gametes. Example of gametes: sperm, male gamete, and egg, female gamete. In case of plants, male nucleus and egg, mostly male gamete and female gamete. The male gamete and female gamete are formed in male sex organ and female sex organ respectively, and during the formation, if it is a diploid organism like Poisson sativum and almost all higher plants, they are diploid, so meiotic division or reduction division takes place, and this reduction division divides the chromosomes into two halves, 10 and 10 in Poisson sativum, 20 to 10 and 10. So each gamete contains 10 chromosomes. Poisson sativum male gamete 10 chromosomes, female gamete 10 chromosomes. During fusion, again we get 10 plus 10, 20 chromosomes, and that by mitotic division, that equational division, it forms an organism which is diploid. And when the haploid organisms have sexual reproduction, the gametes are formed by mitotic division. So haploid organism, haploid male gamete, haploid organism, haploid female gamete, fusion, they form diploid zygote. The zygote undergoes meiotic division and it forms haploid units which usually are spores, and they form the haploid organism. Here you can see about sexual reproduction. Male and female gametes are required. Now the male and female gametes are formed in male and female organs, and the male and female organs may be present on separate plants, that is male and female plants, or they may be located on separate flowers of the same plant, or the male and female gametes are formed or in the same flower in a organism. Now male and female gametes are formed by meiotic division. Why there is a mention only about meiotic division? because we are mostly concerning about the angiosperms which are diploid, and diploid organisms are sporophytes. Sporophytes, remember this, diploid organisms are sporophytes. All angiosperms are, their main life cycle is a sporophyte. Only for a small period they form gametophyte. Gametophyte is haploid. Now sporophyte again is diploid and gametophyte is haploid. All angiosperms are sporophytes and they are diploid with 2n number of chromosomes, and all angiosperms have a short period of gametophyte which is haploid, that is n number of chromosomes. We will verify how it is in the due course. Now the male and female gametes fuse to form zygote. Now when meiotic division forms male and female gametes, then it gives rise to haploid gametes. Now the haploid gametes are a part of haploid phase of the life cycle of an angiosperm, and the haploid gametes fuse to form the zygote, and the zygote divides mitotically again to form an adult plant. Now let us see the life cycle of an angiosperm. Now this is a condition where the flower has both male and female sex organs. Here you can see this is the flower. Now the flower has male part, that is this. This is the male part. The individual unit of male part is stamen, and how many stamens are there here? 4 stamens are there. Stamen. And this is the female part, that is ovary. Both are here. Now since we have to discuss the structure of a flower before entering into the life cycle, let us look at this. Now this is the flower. The flower has at the lower portion a stalk which is called stem or pedicel. Pedicel, this is pedicel, and this portion where all the structures of a flower are attached is called thalamus or receptacle. This is receptacle or thalamus. Now from this place we get all the parts of the flower. Now you must have seen green parts at the base of the flower. These green parts at the base of the flower are called sepals. Now these sepals are meant for protection of the flower. Sepals, these things. Now above the sepals you find colored structures which form the corolla, and corolla has petals. These are sepals which are a part of calyx. Now petals are a part of corolla, and the sepals are meant for protection and the petals are meant for attraction. Attraction for what? For attract insects for pollination. That is the pollen grains falling on the flower. That you have studied in school and you can very easily understand this. This is sepal, this is petal, this is calyx, and this is corolla. And the next part is the male part, which is known as androecium. It is not labeled here. It is androecium. Andro means male. Androecium is the male part. Now the androecium individual unit is known as stamen. And how many stamens are here? There are 6 stamens, and each stamen has a filament and an anther. Each stamen has a filament and an anther. So the stamen is the reproduction, meant for reproduction, and it has an anther and a stalk called filament. Now the female reproductive part is the ovary or pistil. Now the pistil or gynoecium, there it is androecium. Gyno means female. Now gynoecium has a basal ovary, a long portion known as style, and the tip called stigma. Ovary, style and stigma. Now stigma is the portion where the pollen grains fall. Now they pass through the style, and this ovary is the portion where the ovules develop. Ovules. Now these ovules give rise to seeds later on. Now gynoecium is otherwise known as carpel. Carpel or pistil, and if the carpels are free, it is polycarpus, and the carpels are united, it is called syncarpus. Let us assume once again. Now the reproductive part of an angiospermic plant main is the flower. The flower has a stalk called pedicel. At the lower portion there is a green structure called calyx. The individual part of calyx is sepals, and above the inner to the sepals there are petals. They constitute the corolla. Inner to the corolla is androecium, and the individual part of the androecium is stamens. The stamen has a filament and an anther, every stamen. Now here we find 6 stamens, and the female this is the male reproductive part or androecium, and gynoecium or pistil is the female reproductive part. As stamen is the individual unit of androecium, carpel is the individual unit of gynoecium or pistil. If there is a single carpel, it is monocarpellary. If there are more carpels, it is polycarpellary, and the polycarpellary may be apocarpus, that is they are separate, and syncarpus, that is they are fused. Now if you have seen a cut orange, you will find in the fruit there is flesh, there are ridges and seeds attached to it. Now that is the ovary which has developed into the fruit, and the seeds which you find are the ovules which have developed into the seeds, and these seeds ultimately grow into plants. So this is a flower. Now let's come back again to this. This is the flower. In the flower, the pistil is the female reproductive organ, and the androecium is the male reproductive organ. This is the anther of the androecium that gives spore by meiosis. Meiosis, remember, that is reduction division. That is, this is diploid and the spores are haploid. 2n number of chromosomes and n number of chromosomes. Now the ovary, the ovule undergoes meiosis, and again it forms spore. Now this spore, which is formed by meiosis from androecium, is called microspore, and this spore which is formed from gynoecium is called megaspore. And this megaspore and microspores by mitotic division form male gametophyte and female gametophyte. That is not clearly shown here. Now they form male gametophyte and female gametophyte. Remember, this is sporophyte. The entire plant is sporophyte. Only the structure which is formed from pollen grain ultimately is called male gametophyte, and the structure which is formed inside the ovule is called female gametophyte. That we will know when we study further. Now here you see pedicel, receptacle, calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, we have studied all. Now next, this is the androecium. This is the stamen, anther, this is filament. Now if you cut a section of the anther, you will find 4 chambers, and inside the chambers you have the pollen grains. Now this is the section, these are the 4 chambers, and inside the 4 chambers you get the pollen grains. Now what is the structure of this? You have an epidermis, the outermost layer. You have studied about epidermis in your previous year. Now endothecium, that is the inner layer. Endo means inner. There are a number of middle layers, and there is something called tapetum, T-A-P-E-T-U-M, tapetum, which is the structure which provides food. This tapetum provides food to the developing microspores. Now you see endothecium, epidermis, diploid, part of anther. Endothecium, diploid, part of anther. Middle layers, diploid, part of anther. Now tapetum, diploid, part of anther. Microspore mother cell, diploid, part of anther. Now up to this, still there is no reduction division or meiosis which has taken place. Now again the same thing shown in a different way. Now here this is the section of the stamen. Now here these 2 points are called stromium. Stomium are these 2 points. What is the importance of stomium? You will know it a little later. Now these are the four structures. Now these 4 structures, here you can see the same thing. This is epidermis, endothecium, middle layers, tapetum, and inside is microspore mother cell. What is mother cell? A cell which gives rise to new things is mother cells. All these are diploid. Now this microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis. Meiosis means reduction division. Microspore mother cell is diploid. It undergoes meiosis and forms microspores which are haploid. Now the haploid condition comes, n number of chromosomes. Now here comes the importance of stomium. Now at this stomium the anther ruptures and the microspores are liberated. Remember what is the term I am using? Microspores. Now earlier I called it microspore mother cell. Now I am calling it microspore. Once again let us see. A stamen is the male part of the flower or male unit of the flower, which is a part of the androecium. The stamen has a stalk which is called filament and an anther. The anther has a connective, that's not important here, but there is a stomium where the anther ruptures. Now there is epidermis, endothecium, middle layers, tapetum and microspore mother cells in the anther which are diploid. Now after that the microspore mother cells undergo meiotic division and each microspore mother cell gives rise to 4 microspores. Now why do we say 4 microspores? Because meiotic division results in 4 cells, 4 microspores. Initially all the microspores are together and it is called tetrad. Tetra means 4. Now the microspores which are formed are haploid. Now coming to the germination of microspore. Now here you see, ultimately from the microspore mother cells we have got microspores. Now this is a microspore. Now this microspore has got a thick wall which is exine and inner wall is intine. Exine and intine. It has a single nucleus which is haploid. The microspore with exine, intine and a single nucleus which is haploid, and it has one or more pores which are called germ pores. Germ pores, they do not have a thick wall like exine and intine. There the wall is thin. Everywhere it is shown. You see, that is the germ pore. Now what happens is the nucleus which is at the center migrates to one side, and this migration of the nucleus is because of the development of vacuoles. The vacuole development pushes the nucleus to one side, and after moving to that side, you know that it is haploid, so it cannot divide meiotically, it divides mitotically and forms 2 nuclei. Now this is one nucleus and this is another nucleus. It forms 2 cells, one small cell and one large cell. The small cell is called generative cell and the large cell is called vegetative cell. This is vegetative cell and this is generative cell. This is vegetative, this is generative. Then this generative cell, it is not clearly shown here. Now the generative cell loses the wall or membrane and free nucleus is inside, and there is it divides into two, one tube nucleus and one generative generative cell divides into two male gametes, and the other nucleus forms tube nucleus. So, two male gametes are formed and one tube nucleus is formed. Two male gametes are represented by two nuclei. Let us look at it once again. This is the microspore. The microspore has exine and intine and a single nucleus at the center. This nucleus moves to one side because of vacuoles. It divides and forms two nuclei and a wall, a large vegetative cell and a one generative cell, and the pollen grain germinates through the germ pore. Now, usually the pollen grains are liberated at this three cell stage. Now, from the generative cell we get a tube nucleus and we get two male gametes. Now, at what stage the pollen grains are liberated? Now, pollen grains are released at two-celled or three-cell stage, that is mostly two-cell stage, a large vegetative cell and a small generative cell. The pollen grains now fall on the stigma of this stigma. Here you see the pollen grain has fallen, and I told you how do they germinate? They germinate through the pore, germ pore, and form pollen tube. This is the pollen tube. Now, this development of pollen tube and male gametes and tube nucleus takes place after the pollen grain falls on this stigma. Now, the stages prior to this is called pre-pollination development, and these are post-pollination development after the pollen grain falls on the stigma. Now, the most important thing is the pollen tube pushes these nuclei to the tip of the pollen tube because of vacuoles, that is a mistake here, vacuoles and callose plugs. Now, we will discuss about the ovary and other parts in the next class.